Wow, imagine that. We were actually live on the day that we were supposed to do the podcast. No more pushing it back to a different day. The Xbox 2 is now live on our brand new night, Thursday. I'm Randall Thor 19, one of the hosts of the show, alongside the one and only Jez Corden. What's going on, Jezzy?
Good, man. How are you, pal?
I'm good. I watched a little bit of your stream earlier today, but I didn't say anything.
Oh, wow.
I was lurking.
Oh, wow. I feel privileged, mate.
Mm-hmm. I lurk quite a bit, so I lurk in a lot
On a
of
midnight public.
well, what are you gonna do? But yeah, so this is our new night, Thursday. Hopefully, you never know what happens. I got stuff to do. Jess has stuff to do. But we're gonna be going forward. Thursdays at 3 p.m. If you want to watch live here on YouTube. But of course, as always, you can listen to the show later on Google Play or iTunes or SoundCloud or whatever. And the links are always in the description of the video. If you do want to check it out there. This is going to be a kind of weird show. And I'm going to say that up front because there is literally, and I mean this literally, there's nothing to talk about for the most part. There's no news. It's just summer without any sort of exciting things to mention. So we're going to rely on you guys for this episode. I don't know, more so than usual. So if you
like that doesn't happen every episode.
more so than usual because we're definitely going to need some interesting topics that you guys want to see us talk about. Because quite frankly, I mean, what was the big news of this week? It wasn't even really news. It was like the possibility of Yakuza coming to Xbox. Like, that's literally it. Not even that it's coming to Xbox. Just that Sega's thinking about it, running it over in their heads. We bring Yakuza to Xbox? Maybe. I mean, I guess I could clickbait everything and be like, Phil Spencer gives amazing Xbox Scarlet news, and then never mention it once during the show or something.
PlayStation is doomed.
Yeah. PlayStation about to crash and burn? Is the PS5 really in development or did they cancel it? I don't know. So either way, we got some topics we're going to try to get through. If you have something you want us to, talk about, chat's open, super chats if you want to get it right away, all that good stuff. You know how it all works. So with that, let's get into games we've been playing this week, and then we'll go on from the topics from there. Jez, you always go first. Why don't you go first again?
Oh wow, how
I know, right? You are privileged. You get to go first. That's. I'm a gentleman like that.
Well, in that case, I've been playing, as you probably know from considering you watched the show this morning, I've been playing The Division.
Yeah, what are you playing right now? Because I can hear you playing something in the background.
You can hear me playing something? I need to sort that 1 second. That was supposed to be stealth. Can you still hear it?
No, I mean I could hear you like
clicking away
on the controller.
All right. Well, what I'm playing right now is Moonlighter for Xbox One. So for those who don't know, Moonlighter is a really cute sort of Zelda-like game with a shop running mechanic on top of it. So like you play as a merchant who goes through dungeons, procedurally generated dungeons, getting loot, selling them in your shop, leveling up your shop and that sort of thing, leveling up your gear, leveling up your stats and your potions and stuff like that. And it's sort of like roguelite sort of way. It's not a pure roguelike, but it's a little bit more casual, but it's a really fun, cute game, grindy sort of game, just mindlessly play so far. But I really like it. It's on Xbox Play Anywhere as well. It's £15, so that's like maybe what, $15. Given how weak the British economy is right now, it's probably about the same, probably about $15. But it's a really, really good game. I really like it. You've played it, right, Rand?
No, I have not played it yet.
All right.
I don't think I ever will because, and this is going to sound weird.
Games.
What?
You hate games?
No. I love games. Oh. But that game has what I would call the big no-no.
What is
right?
that?
And you want to know what the big no-no is? The big no-no
do.
is having odd achievements for your game.
Oh, I don't
'Cause
care about Chivos.
no, I don't really care about the overall score as much. Like I'm kind of retired from chasing high gamer score, but there's still one thing that gets my OCD going really hard, and that's when my gamer score doesn't end in a 5 or a 0, right? And this game, Moonlighter, which does look pretty damn awesome, is littered with like 12-point achievements. Like everything's dude.
Oh no.
Yeah, and
The world is ending.
I will not stand for that. I have
12 point
principles.
achievements.
I have
Never
principles.
play a Windows Phone game then. Some of those, they were like Chivos that were like 1 point and stuff like that.
That's like the one thing I truly hate. I can't stand when developers do that because it's wrong. You hear me? If you're listening to this, the devs of Moonlighter, I know you made an excellent game. All my friends that played it have raved about it. Jez likes it a lot. But you did the thing that you shouldn't do. And you made achievements that didn't end in a 5 or a 0. And because of that,
wrong.
I can't in good conscience play your game.
Oh my god, that's such a stupid reason to not play a game.
You
that
know?
literally hurts my soul.
So because of that, and because I don't play games on another account, it's either my main account or not, I'll never play your game. So you must fix this odd gamer score immediately.
Dude, it's such a dumb reason to not play a game.
I know.
That's the dumbest reason to not play a game I've ever heard.
It probably sure is, Jazz. But I'm a man of my principles, man of my word. And
worst principles ever.
I don't know what it is, but it really bothers me, dude. It really does. Like I didn't play Overcooked 1, right? Even though I wanted to play Overcooked, because the first achievement you got was a 1-pointer. And to even it out, you had to complete the entire game with all the challenges. And I'm like,
guys in chat, please tell me. Guys in chat, please tell me Rand's being ridiculous right now. I can't possibly fathom this. But
I am not rewarding behavior like that, okay? I'm not going to reward terrible behavior.
It's a really, really good game. But fair enough, Rand. What is my achievement score? I'm just going to check right now. I don't even know what it is.
Like, I think you're almost at like 100,000 or something.
I just want to see if it's a weird number that'll trigger you, because that'll
probably will. You probably trigger me.
Yeah, my game score is 95,312.
Oh my god, that's like I'm twitching right now. I'm literally.
It's probably Moonlighter that's pushed me into a 12.
How could you look at your gamer card, without being in disgust?
I never do, because I don't care about Chivos. I like that they're there, but I don't hunt them.
Yeah,
I don't care about them so much.
That's why I do. It does feel kind of, I don't know, like liberating playing on the PlayStation at times, not having to give a shit about trophies or anything at all. I know it's a weird quirk. It's like my only real quirk when it comes to games, and there's not really that many that actually have that. And some games are easy enough where you can get them all and not have to worry about it. But like, I see those numbers, dude, and I'm just like, nope. Not at all. There's other games to play. I don't know what it is. But yeah, I've heard Moonlighter is pretty good. But I'm glad that you're enjoying it and you're unlocking those uneven achievements.
I've also not the only game I've been playing though. In fact, I only started playing Moonlighter earlier today, on a whim, and I'm really enjoying it so far. It's really awesome. It's annoying because I've got Nier Automata to finish and I've got Vampire to finish still, but for some reason instead of finishing those, I just picked this up because I'm an idiot. I'm an idiot. But I've also been playing the Division Endgame for the first time, the new Endgame.
Ooh,
since vanilla. So like the Endgame when Division first came out, the Endgame was terrible. There was pretty much nothing to do except for get killed in the Dark Zone, which was lame. And I couldn't be bothered to learn the Dark Zone and learn all the exploits because it's not balanced at all. So I just quit. But now, after how many years of content updates, there's actually tons of fun things to do in Division's Endgame. And I've been having a blast. Today we did 10 weekly high value targets for the Division 2 content, because if you do, there's like a bunch of challenges in the Division now, where if you do them, you get content for the Division 2 if you do them in the Division 1. So we've been trying to run through those. We did the high value targets one this week, which is like these sort of dynamic events that spawn every week, and there's like special little boss fights and stuff like that. It's really cool out in the world. Gives you a reason to actually explore the game world and pick up those collectibles and stuff that you might have missed and stuff like that. There's also like a horde mode, which is more like I suppose it's more like Call of Duty zombie mode, really, where you sort of progress through, like you have to unlock the doors to progress through the level, kind of similar to Call of Duty zombie mode. So that's really good too. And you build like fortifications and upgrade stuff and that sort of thing. And then there's the underground, which is like Diablo 3 Rifts, where it's like, yeah, you're traveling through the subway tunnels and sewers of New York, and it's full of procedural everything. And it's there's just so much to do. And you're basically chasing your ideal gear set that you want for your playstyle. Each gear, and there's like exotic weapons that have special gameplay modifying talents on them. But you know, the game still has its problems. Like PvP still sucks in it, like so bad. I really can't stand the PvP in the game at all. It's totally imbalanced. So much stuff doesn't work in PvP. You have to roll with very specific sets in order to do well in PvP, which is lame. So I really don't like it. To answer Black Rider's question, I haven't tried survival yet, and survival's another mode where like you basically in New York, you start with nothing. You have to find clothes, you have to find food. It's like the Long Dark, but in the Division. So like they just added tons of stuff to do to try and get the end game gear. Like you can do anything you want. You can do PvP, horde mode, PvE, kill bosses, run dungeons, go through Diablo style rifts. There's tons of stuff to do. So I'm probably going to write an article next week about why it's worth, you know, even if you just like pick up a couple of months of Xbox Game Pass to jump back in, maybe with a friend or something, and just, you know, go through the Division 2 Shield stuff to get geared up for the Division 2. It's awesome. Tons of stuff to do. I've been really impressed with that. But that's pretty much everything I've been playing this week. Mostly Division 1.
Have you decided if you're going to go back to your game of the year from last year and actually play that DLC for it? Because
actually, you mean Prey Mooncrash?
Yeah, because I hear a lot of good stuff about it.
Yeah, I actually did start playing that as well. I didn't get very far because I was sort of playing it in between jobs, but it seems pretty cool as well. Like, I don't know that much about it yet, but I'm definitely going to go and play that and write something about that as well next week, I think. I'm trying to come up with a name for a column, Rand, because like I kind of like want to move away from formal game reviews, and I just want to start doing like sort of quick impressions on stuff instead, because I often don't have time to run through a whole game in sort of a completionist way. I mean, I played like when I reviewed Mass Effect Andromeda, I played it like non-stop for a week, and like I was like to my boss, look, I need to have this whole week to play Mass Effect Andromeda, and I did every single quest, and I had like 150 hours played when I reviewed it. But as a result of that, I only wrote like 2 or 3 articles that week. I just can't do that. So I might just start doing quick impressions on stuff like that instead, and just leave the reviews to some of my colleagues. But yeah, Mooncrash. I'm really interested in that, and I'll get to it next week. But also, I can't talk about this very much, but I also played Earthfall a bit this week. So Earthfall is like, for those who don't know, Earthfall is kind of like Left 4 Dead, but instead of zombies, it's aliens. And I'm going to be streaming that on Mixer on Friday. We're going to be giving away 6 copies, I believe, playing with people in the chat. It's got Mixer integration as well, so people watching can spawn spawn aliens in your game, or give you weapons, or they can screw you over or help you with Mixer integration. So that's going to be interesting. But yeah, so there are quite a lot of decent games to play at the minute, and you know, even if you're revisiting old ones like Division, thanks to Game Pass. Woo!
Sam Tolbert says Mooncrash is probably better than the base game, and he loved Prey.
My God. I will believe him when I see it, because I also adore Prey.
I've actually seen a lot of people talk highly about Prey Mooncrash. I watched Skill Up's video about it.
Didn't they announce some kind of PvP mode for Mooncrash? Or multiplayer mode
for Prey, yeah, they announced they announced that at E3 it's supposed to be 1v5. One person versus 5 mimics or whatever. I don't know when it's supposed to come out.
Yeah, you play as a mimic.
Yeah.
The mimics are such a cool mechanic. It's like I bought one of the mimic mugs from the Bethesda shop. It looks just like the stuff in game. I really love that game, man. You know,
I like Prey. It could have been so much more too. Like it could have been one of the greats.
It was one of the greats.
If the combat was just a little bit better, it could have been.
Combat was perfect.
And the backtracking at the end of the game with all those damn loading screens. Yeah.
Okay, I'll give you that one. That wasn't bad. Right.
The way it was set up was bad. But you mentioned that you played a Left 4 Dead like successor or Left 4 Dead copy, Earthfall, which comes out actually tonight, 5 hours from now. I also played a Left 4 Dead copy as well, called Warhammer Vermintide 2. I put up my review for it earlier, and holy cow, is this game basically Left 4 Dead, just like Earthfall is.
Yeah, I played the original Vermintide, and it was pretty similar too.
I mean, pretty similar, Jez. It's basically a direct copy.
But you can cast magic spells.
Well, okay, so the difference is instead of having survivors with guns, you just have survivors with swords and bows and arrows. I mean, they literally have each one of the special. Remember all the special enemies from Left 4 Dead, like the smoker and the tank, and the boomer and all those. Like they're all in Left 4 Dead as just rats, as different types of rats. But I played through it. It took me about 10 hours. I played it exclusively in co-op with my buddy Gopher. Sam played it with us for the first day, and I was really impressed with the game.
Do you like rats?
Like in real life, or are we talking like the Warhammer rats?
In real life.
I actually haven't really. I've seen mice, like scurrying around, but I've never actually seen a rat up close. No. Have you? Do you guys get gigantic rats and
When I was a kid, we had when I was a kid, we had a rat in our kitchen, and we called an exterminator, and he come around with all these traps and stuff, because my dogs were going crazy. This rat was huge, and my dogs were going crazy, and they were trying to like get it, and the rat was hiding underneath the washing machine or something. And this dude bought these traps and all this stuff, and the rat was just not going for it. So in the end, he beat it to death with a cricket bat and made a big mess.
Ugh. Sounds like the end to that We Happy Few trailer they originally showed back in 2016. Like beat the,
I remember that.
The possum, and then they were eating and stuff. Yeah, so I that's what I've been playing mostly. Warhammer Vermintide 2, a little bit of Crew 2. I'm still working on my review. I haven't played enough of Crew 2 yet to like finally give my final thoughts on it. But hopefully I can have that out soon, because there is a couple games I wanted to check out. I wanted to check out Earthfall. Considering I just did a review for Warhammer, I figured it would be appropriate to do one for Earthfall, considering it's a Left 4 Dead clone, see if it's any better. And then Danger Zone 2 comes out this week as well, from the makers of Burnout. I kind of enjoyed Danger Zone, the first one, and this one's actually launching day and date with the PlayStation version and the PC version, I believe, and it seems to be much better. So, let's see. We need to get rid of a few people. There you go.
I'm banning. Don't worry.
You lay the ban hammer down, Jez.
Laying the ban hammer. If you talk like a child, I will treat you like a child and ban your ass.
That's right.
Get a life, losers.
That's right. So yeah, a whole bunch of games to play. Also I played a little bit of PUBG. They updated the test server with some of the PC. Like they did a whole bunch of changes to it, and I hate to say it, but the game even got worse, Jez. I don't know how it's possible, but it's like even worse than it was before.
What?
They did something. The frame rate's not like the game was finally getting to a point where the frame rate was pretty stable. for the most part,
Mm.
outside of the very beginning. But like on the test server, the frame rate's all wonky again. They did something to the colors or the textures because it just looks worse. I don't know if they downgraded the resolution or what, but I don't know. I'm not really a fan of all the different changes they've done. So I already know it's already pushed away one of our regulars from playing PUBG. So maybe this is the end of the PUBG addiction. I knew this would happen eventually. That I would stop playing it once my friends didn't want to play it anymore. And now that one of them is like, I'm done, like, you know, and the other one is just got a new PC, gaming PC, so he's actually trying to play PUBG on you know, the master race, so to speak. You know, and Crazy Geek Dude says Rand is a test server for the test server. I know, but eventually all those test server changes will make it over to the real server, just like it did before. Malaysia Russia wants to know, isn't Danger Zone 2 from the makers of Dangerous Golf? I believe so. Yeah, they are. It's from Three Fields Entertainment or Three Fields Entertainment. Then they are ex Criterion devs that made Burnout. That comes out on Friday. There's like 13 games this week, Jez. I don't know if you saw 13 indie games, not including any like bigger retail ones. And Nintendo was just out there saying that they want 20 to 30 indie games to come out a week on the Switch.
They want to be careful, you know. I mean, I remember back in the day, Steam was like the indie darling, and you had, you know, devs praising like, "Oh, Steam's the best platform for indies, blah blah blah." But they saturated their market, man. And now Steam is bad for indies because it's saturated. So, I mean, it's going to take a while to hit that saturation point, but they will hit it, man.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I'm of the opinion that I don't know. Like, I kind of want more curation, because like when you have like 15 games come out in a week, it's hard for any of them to really stand out. I mean, I guess that's a different argument. Like, you want quality games, and you want the quality games to stand out. And if you put out 15 games, you would hope that the quality titles, you know, rise to the top, but sometimes they don't. It's just really hard, I would imagine, for any indie developer to be like, we're finally releasing our game, and then there's 20 other games releasing that same week, you know, and I would imagine it's like very nightmarish scenario for a lot of these companies. There's like, you know, they put their heart and soul into their game, and it could end up very bad just because you decided a wrong time to release. I don't know. Either way, that's what I've been playing. So you know what? Let's I wanted to talk really quickly about Xbox Game Pass because, and this kind of ties into the whole Warhammer thing. I think Warhammer is like the perfect game for Xbox Game Pass, Jez. And
why is that?
It's just my opinion, right? Because I view Xbox Game Pass maybe a little bit differently than most people, right? Like, yeah, Xbox Game Pass is a great service, especially if like you're just getting an Xbox now and you don't have a lot of games. You can pay $10 to get 180 titles, right? But, and I'm sure you agree with me that the vast majority of that library are old games, right?
Yeah.
Incredibly old games. I mean, half the list is basically 360 titles from last gen. So when I think of like the perfect game for Game Pass, I think of something that's brand new, launching day and date, which Vermintide 2 is. I think of something that is actually really good, which Vermintide 2 is. I think of a game that actually has longevity and depth, which Vermintide 2 has. And I think of a game that you can actually get together with your buddies to enjoy. And it's a scenario where, like, maybe you've had it with your friends in the past. I know I have, where you get excited for a game and it's multiplayer, but it's kind of, there's always that one person who maybe doesn't have the money to buy the game. And it's like, yeah, but in this scenario, like, here you have this game and, you know, it's just $10. So it'd be like really easy to convince somebody who's on the fence to just try it for a month. So those are the reasons why I thought that like Game Pass, or at least for Vermintide, almost should be a like a poster child for it. because it exemplifies everything I think is great about Game Pass. But then again, I like stuff that's new, and I'm sure there are plenty of people out there who didn't play like Rise of the Tomb Raider. So when they look at Xbox Game Pass, like, oh, I'll get Rise of the Tomb Raider and Halo 5, and maybe it's just my viewpoint because I look at stuff that's newer, but I look at Warhammer, I'm like, this is a huge get. It's $30, yes, but it's brand new. It's day one. It looks, even though it's, I guess you could call it an indie game, it looks and runs remarkably well on the Xbox One X. Maybe you wouldn't necessarily call it a AAA, but it's on that verge, right? Yeah. And it's such a compelling experience that you can have a lot of fun with your friends that I think it's like I think it should be the poster child. I don't know. Those are just kind of thoughts I had in my head.
Well, you have to think like Game Pass it's not aimed at everyone. Like I remember I leaked those Xbox stats back in the day, and they identify different kind of gamers. Like Game Pass is a product for what they call explorers, people who play like lots of games in a short space of time. Maybe they've got like disposable income, or maybe they just they just do that, just buy loads of games. And it's also aimed at people who maybe don't fancy spending a lot of money up front and stuff like that. So it's not aimed at people like us. So when you can see the effects of that, because for example, the Division's player base has like swelled, not just because of Game Pass, but also because of the shields and stuff like that. But like the fact that they put it in Game Pass to like give people the opportunity to explore the game again for cheap, even though it's pretty cheap to buy now anyway. But like it's like you say, if like maybe one of your friends is skeptical about it, they don't want to spend the money, they can give it a go. It's like the ultimate demo. So
yeah, and they just added Rocket League to Game Pass during Inside Xbox.
Microsoft sells it by saying like, look at all these games which they've had sort of flagging multiplayer bases. Like maybe they're a bit old now, and people have moved on to other games, but they might try it. They might have tried games they otherwise wouldn't have done through Game Pass, and it sort of boosts the multiplayer population and helps virality and stuff like that. We've talked about this before.
Yes, we have. Indeed, we have. But I think,
I like it.
I kind of look at a scenario of like, what's Game Pass going to look like a year from now?
Yeah, that's another thing. It's like I don't think Division's going to be there forever. It's kind of these deals have contracts, like shelf life, and maybe a dev will eventually think like, maybe I don't need Game Pass anymore, maybe they'll ditch it after they've gotten bored of it or whatever, and they feel like maybe they don't need it anymore, and they'll skip.
I don't know. I just kind of think I think of the service getting better and offering more third-party content day one and not necessarily less. Like look where Game Pass was when it launched, like this time last year. Yeah, it was great. It had 100 titles, but they were all old. Now you're actually getting less 360 titles, which is great because they're using the backwards compatibility stuff to fill out the list. But then you're actually starting to get more day one titles, like not only from third party, but also from Microsoft themselves. So then like you see a year of iteration, more people actually enjoying signing up for it. And a year from now, it might all be Xbox One games and not any 360 titles. It might be like 2 brand new games a month instead of maybe 1, like it could be, maybe a semi-big third party gets on board like THQ Nordic or something. I don't know. It's just
maybe not them.
Well, maybe not necessarily them, but I'm just saying like
did you see that tweet THQ? I mean, this is slightly off topic, but did you see that tweet THQ Nordic put out about Microsoft?
What was it about the game cases in the
UK? They were moaning that game cases in Europe don't have enough they don't have enough space for them to put anything on it.
Yeah.
It's very very odd thing for a company to tweet publicly like that. I don't know.
I'm sure Microsoft has to comply with local laws and regulations, right?
That's the problem with Europe. There's like a million different languages they're trying to put into one place.
Yeah. Um. So yeah, I figured we'd talk about the Game Pass thing because I really like Warhammer, and it made me kind of really look at Game Pass in a new light. I wish more games like this came to the service.
Mm.
And maybe it will. Maybe the service gets so popular that a year from now you have a ton of them doing it. I don't know. Who knows what the future holds? But Jez, I don't know if you saw. Maybe you did. You can't escape it considering it's the biggest game in the world. But Fortnite launched their new season, right? Uh,
What's that? Never heard of
season
it.
5. I don't know. They basically changed the map again. They have a whole bunch of new
Um,
stuff, new unlocks. But
yep.
it's not
Yes,
so much
they
that.
did.
I don't really want to talk about so much about Fortnite, although I am impressed by how machine like and like how quickly Epic gets through and changes their games to keep it fresh for people.
It is
You know,
quite impressive how they
it's
are
damn
changing.
impressive. But I don't know if you saw, but they also went back and they changed their revenue sharing through the Epic Store. Uh,
That was a really cool move.
Right. They
Like,
went from 70 to 30, which is a normal split. Like Microsoft takes 70 30, or they take 30. Like Microsoft takes
yeah.
30, Sony takes 30, Steam takes 30. It's basically like an industry, what would you call it? Industry staple, industry kind of, that's what it is. That's like what everybody's agreed upon. But because of the success of Fortnite, and that's exactly what Tim Sweeney said, it allows them to actually give back. So they actually changed their split from 70-30 to 88-12, and then actually went back and paid back stuff from like people's like sales from 4 years because it was like retroactive. And
Right.
I don't know. Do you think that could change anything? Because I did see some kind of cynic thinking here that says this was a shot at trying to undermine Unity, that they're using Fortnite's popularity to undermine Unity by doing this to get
Sounds
uh,
right.
you think that has some a possibility to it?
No doubt. I mean, Unity is a big threat to those guys. I mean, but Unity is a bit different. I don't obviously I'm not a dev, so I don't know the ins and outs of it. But from what I understand, Unity is like has better cross-platform compliancy than Unreal does. But
Hmm.
Unreal's obviously a lot more powerful in terms of what you can do with it. But a lot of indie devs tend to gravitate towards Unity, at least in the early days. I suppose because maybe it's easy to use or it's cheaper. I know that like it's offered cheaply as part of Windows 10 Store. If you build an app for Windows 10 Store or a game, you get like a Unity Pro for cheap or free. Even I'm not sure about that, and that might be an old deal actually. But I do remember something to that capacity anyway. But it
I mean,
is, yeah.
I think it's pretty damn amazing that Fortnite is that popular, makes them that much money that they went back and did this though. Because I've actually seen developers like say, "Oh, thank you so much. Like now, this funded our studio for 3 fresh, stress-free months and stuff like that." Like,
Yeah, it is amazing that they did that. I mean, so people can be cynical all they want, but it's like having a real impact on people, and devs and stuff like that. So, I've seen a few cynical takes about it. It's like some people are saying like, "Oh, this means there'll be even more asset flipped games on Steam." Like, but like you get those indie games which are just basically like reused assets over and over again and stuff like that. Um, I don't know if you've seen people moaning about that.
oh yeah, I've seen people moaning about it, of course.
Yeah,
Um, but
but
yeah, I thought that was pretty interesting, and kudos for Epic for making Fortnite fresh in a
yeah.
way that PUBG isn't, or any real like any other game, man. Like I see people who were bored of it now coming back to it. Um, I don't know, man. They have something special there, and I've been thinking like maybe when all these bigger games come out, like the Call of Duties with their Battle Royale and Battlefield 5 and stuff like that, that it would take a chunk of that audience, but I'm not really sure anymore. I think it'll take some of PUBG's audience, but I think Fortnite is so ubiquitous because it's everywhere. It's on mobile and everything, and it does all these
You
good.
have to remember, like, Fortnite's free as well, and to that end, they are always going to be bigger than PUBG just on that basis. PUBG, and unless PUBG flips to a freemium model, they're never going to catch Fortnite. So they're always going to have like a slightly different business model on that basis. I feel.
Yeah. So something happened on the Xbox update side, which maybe you can explain a little bit more than me because I don't really know what it is. But Xbox in the the skip up the skip ring or the insider ring skip ring. I don't know why that, but like skip ahead. It's the skip ahead ring and the alpha ring. Yeah. They're getting Dolby Vision, is it?
Yeah, Dolby Vision. So basically, for those who don't know, Dolby Vision it's a HDR format, from what I understand. Like at the moment, the Xbox One supports HDR10, which is the more open format. I think like a bunch of companies, there's like HDR10 is like a consortium where a bunch of TV manufacturers work together on that protocol, so to speak. Whereas Dolby Vision is a little bit different in the sense that you have to pay for it, kind of like Dolby Atmos. Like Dolby Atmos is a license, and Dolby Surround Sound is a license on headsets. That's why headsets with 7.1 Dolby Surround are more expensive, because the manufacturer has to pay Dolby a license fee. So there are a bunch of TVs that use Dolby Vision. I don't know whether Dolby Vision or HDR10 is the superior format, but for people who bought the wrong 4K TV and got stuck with the wrong type of HDR, this is a great it's a great benefit for them. And I've sometimes received messages, from people asking me to ask Microsoft about Dolby Vision support in the past and stuff like that. So if you do have a Dolby Vision TV, it's great for you, I guess. But for most people, it won't really matter. My TV is HDR10, I believe, but I don't even have it turned on because my TV is so bad that it actually makes the picture look worse. So it depends if you use it or not.
So, but it's only streaming though, isn't that like the caveat? Is that it's only streaming?
That's the caveat. It's for only at the moment. It's only for video and media, so like your Netflix and stuff like that. It's not for games. I don't know if it'll ever be for games. Does Sony use Dolby Vision or HDR10? I want to say that they're using HDR10.
I think they use HDR10. I don't think anybody uses. I think Microsoft would be the first console to support Dolby Vision.
Yeah, I don't really know how all this stuff works from a developer perspective. I don't know how easy it is to add HDR to games. Clearly it's not super easy, or more games would have it. And some of the games that do have it don't implement it very well. So HDR doesn't seem to be this huge deal that everyone said it was going to be. I don't know. And you've got like the different types of HDR. There's like fake HDR, which is where your TV goes up to 300 nits, which isn't true HDR. So to get true HDR, you have to have at least 1,000 nits, I think. Yep. Which is, when you're getting up to 1,000 nits of brightness, that's like, those are your expensive TVs, So I don't know if this is a huge deal, but it's cool. Microsoft is still, trying to be the media console, and there are people out there who are media enthusiasts which have great TVs. I'm sure a lot of people who work at Microsoft are that way inclined because they can afford the TVs. I know I sure as hell can't. Can you, Rand?
I do need a better TV. Like I had one of those that really didn't have proper HDR 10 or whatever. Like I had an 8-bit panel, but it was in my price range at the time. It was on sale for like $400. So my next big purchase is going to be like one of those, I don't know, OLEDs or QLEDs or whatever it is. Maybe next year when it's a little bit cheaper with the actual HDR on it.
I was looking at getting a monitor instead of a TV because like the 4K TVs are really big and I have like seriously limited space. So I was going to switch to a monitor instead. But getting a monitor that has 4K and like true HDR seems to be impossible right now. The technology just isn't there for some reason. So I don't know. The best monitor you can get right now is like an LG, which is more designed for artists and stuff. I don't know. I'm sure there's someone in chat who knows more about it than me. But
yeah,
I hate monitor stuff and TV stuff, man. It's complicated.
It is complicated.
Remember back in the day, it was like you bought your 1080p TV with HDMI, and that was it. And there's like so many pitfalls you can fall in when buying a TV. You can buy like the wrong TV so easily.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. That's why there's this website I use. It's like
Artings.com.
Yeah, artings.com. But even then,
Great
it's like
website.
there's so much information and like so many different types of TVs and stuff. And it's just like, oh my God. But you're right. Like, it used to be just like, here's your TV, you bought it. Cool, thanks. It works.
I wish Microsoft would just make a TV. I mean, they totally could.
You're such a Microsoft fan. You're not even an Xbox fanboy. You're just a Microsoft fanboy.
No, but like they should just say like make a TV, make it easy for people.
They make a phone, make a TV. Anything else you want Microsoft to make while we're at it? TV, like you want them to make
toothbrush,
a toaster, a microwave. You want
toaster, Microsoft toaster,
refrigerator. Imagine a Microsoft made a refrigerator
with Cortana in it. Hey Cortana, what's in my refrigerator?
What else do you want Microsoft to make? Microsoft car? How about a car?
Oh, they tried that. It's maybe not a good idea.
Yeah, probably not, huh?
What was their their car system called? I can't even remember now. They actually had a car system that was so bad that Ford stripped it out of their car.
Rob64 says Xbox toilet, and Fuzzy Belvedere says Microsoft sofa. That's funny.
Oh man.
There actually is like a Microsoft branded sofa. I could have sworn I saw one.
Oh, don't they have? They have one at Xbox, right? Like
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, they do. They do have a Microsoft branded, an Xbox branded sofa. I'm sure they have a Microsoft branded one too. But like the reason I said they should make a TV is because the Surface Studio display panel is like insane. Like loads when they announced the Surface Studio, which cost about $3,000 for the base model, off the top of my head. Loads of people were saying, I don't want the computer. I just want the screen. You know, sell the screen separately because the computer sucks. It's just the display that's really good. So they could do it, man. They could just make an Xbox TV that has everything you need and you don't even have to worry about anything else.
I mean, we can't even get them to make an Xbox like headset though, or a wireless like headset.
They make an Xbox headset.
I mean, like one that competes with Astro, you know, like people wanted the Xbox like Elite wireless headset.
Oh, an Xbox Elite headset.
Yeah, one that Xbox made.
Well, Microsoft has to be careful when it comes to creating stuff. And when Microsoft first got into laptops with Surface, they pissed off their OEM partners. You know, because the OEMs were like, "Yo, why are you making laptops? We make laptops. You're supposed to make the software. You know, go away." And now Microsoft makes better laptops than a lot of these other guys. And Microsoft's like, okay, yeah, you can make laptops, but we'll just make ours super expensive. But then they announced the Surface Go this week, which is better and cheaper than a lot of the similar products out there.
I didn't. Yeah, it's like $400, right?
Yeah, $400. But I mean, it's the price is deceptive because you don't get the keyboard with that.
Oh,
you only get the tablet.
So how much is it really?
Really, it's about $500. If you want the pen as well, it's about $600. So the price goes up. But I've got like 4 Surface pens lying around because I've bought so many Surface devices. I pre-ordered one, man. I pre-ordered the Surface Go, and I'm going to write an article about how good it is for gaming. Can this be the Xbox Switch, the Surface Go? That's going to be my article title. Clickbait, man. Clickbait.
Nathaniel says, how about an Xbox branded GTX 1080 GPU? Since they're all up on PC, might as well, right? Xbox branded keyboard and mouse. Xbox branded monitor. How about Xbox modems and routers?
They do mice. I'm using the new Microsoft IntelliPoint Classic mouse, which is really nice, actually. Yeah. I don't know, man. I just want Microsoft everything.
You just want your entire house to be furnished by everything Microsoft.
I do. Why not, man?
You want to be sitting there playing on your Xbox One X. Get up, check your Microsoft Windows phone to be on Twitter. Get up and go to your refrigerator made by Microsoft and grab the energy drink that's made by Microsoft.
Energy drink. Mind you, Microsoft did make an energy drink. They made the Overcharge XT.
They did. Well, yeah, they did. They did. That's what. And people say I'm Microsoft. I'm an Xbox fanboy. Like, Jez not only is an Xbox fanboy, he's a Microsoft fanboy. I don't care about anything else that Microsoft does. The only thing I like about Microsoft is the Xbox. Jez like loves the entire company.
I do. I do. It's like some people are into sports, watching the World Cup and all that stuff. I like watching tech, man. I like tech companies. I like Microsoft. I like seeing what Apple are doing. I like what Google are doing. And I'm team Microsoft, man.
Hey,
But I'm not afraid to call out their bullshit, though. I'm call out their bullshit. I will, pal.
I know I've seen you do it. Although people say you're the reason why Xbox sucks, though. So
Who said that?
I don't know. People say lots of things. So what do you think about the Yakuza? I might as well get into this topic. Supposedly, I mean,
I need you to fill me in on this because I don't really know what Yakuza is.
well, I mean, I don't really know what Yakuza is either. I haven't played it. All I know is it's a series made by.
What a YouTuber are you? Don't know what.
I mean, but I don't speak about stuff like that I don't know about. Like I've never reviewed a Yakuza game. All I know is that it's one of the Japanese games that Xbox fans wanted. Some Xbox fans would say wasn't very good because on PlayStation, and now suddenly, because one of the producers of the game saying that they were looking to bring Yakuza, like to different platforms, and he mentioned how he didn't think Switch was a good fit because the Wii U port like bombed, which is kind of a weird thing. Like, hey, we're not going to bring it to Switch because it bombed on the Wii U. But then he said that Xbox One fans might be more open to that type of game. So, of course, this led to a lot of petitions and Xbox fans who suddenly had no interest in Yakuza being like, yo, Yakuza, bring it to Xbox. And I was just kind of curious to see if like you thought this was a possibility. I think it's a possibility. I don't think there's any.
In one of Phil's interviews from E3, he was talking extensively about bringing Japanese games to the box, right? And
Yep.
And people, someone in the I think someone in the audience yelled Yakuza, and then someone else yelled Persona, and then Phil's like, "I hear you."
Yeah.
Phil, I'm sure Phil wants to bring that
Oh,
stuff.
they know exactly what games people want. It's just a matter of. It does make you wonder why Sega's never tried. I don't really think there's any exclusive arrangements between Sony and Sega on this one. You have Yakuza 0, you have the Yakuza Kiwami games, which are the remakes of the first and second. I think 6 just came out. It is a big series that is mostly like, well, I think when I say most, I actually think all, because I don't think it's been on any other platform besides PlayStation, if I'm not mistaken. I think they said they brought it to the Wii U, but it bombed, and I think now it's coming to the PC. If I'm right,
I don't want to sound mean, but didn't everything bomb on the Wii U?
Yes, everything bombed on the Wii U besides Nintendo's own games because nobody bought the Wii U, unfortunately, and now everything's doing extremely well on the Nintendo Switch, which is a weird statement for the Yakuza producer to say because the Switch is like a complete 180 from the Wii U, so why wouldn't you put it on the Switch? I don't understand. So, I mean, would it be cool if it came over? Sure. Here's the thing. You don't want less games to come to your platform. You want as many come to your platform as possible. And the Yakuza games are, beloved. I guess maybe you could call them cult hits, maybe. They sell pretty good. They're not barn burners or anything, but they sell all right. But they're good games that don't come out here, so they don't come to the Xbox at least. So if there's a chance that Sega feels that there's an audience for it, why not? You're gonna have the Xbox fans who hate the Japanese stuff regardless, no matter what, and they'll be like, "We don't want this on the system." But don't listen to those idiots. And that's exactly what they are. They're idiots. There are people upset that Nier Automata came to Xbox, Jez.
Seriously, who?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen a few people and I'm not gonna mention them because I don't want to give them any spotlight, but like, I don't understand why.
I don't understand why would people be annoyed about more games on your system?
I don't know. It's just, I have no idea, but it's just
People are
it's
dumb. They're dumb, man.
if it's just ignore it. If it comes to your platform and you don't care that it's on there, just ignore it like it doesn't exist. I don't get it. But I've always been of the opinion that you want as many games as come to your console as possible, so you can have a diverse library. And honestly, one of the reasons people chose PlayStation over Xbox, if you want to like sit and look at the console war, is because the PlayStation has a bigger, diverse lineup. It has a lot of Japanese support. So if Microsoft could potentially take away that Japanese support and get the Yakuza games and get the Persona games, get the games from Platinum Games and other stuff, that takes away a bullet point from a reason to get a PlayStation over an Xbox. Strictly speaking, as like the console war thing, like I don't really care. I own Yakuza 0 and Yakuza Kiwami on the PlayStation. I bought them both when they were on sale for like $20. I have been actually considering playing Yakuza 0, and I actually might try it out because I'm interested in seeing what the series offers. But we'll see. There's not there's so many games to play and not enough time to play them, and people want me to cover this indie game and that big game and make YouTube videos. It's just like there's not enough time in the day either, but I don't see why.
I was literally saying to someone on Windows Central that I wish I could duplicate myself and actually do all the things I want to do, but I just can't, man.
And if you're a fan of Yakuza, don't you want it to come to as many platforms as possible so it could get more sales and become a bigger franchise, so you can get bigger and better games? I mean, isn't that the whole point?
There's so much like console war ridiculousness still in the industry, because like, I mean, just yesterday someone was tweeting me saying like, oh, I'm sick of PC getting Xbox games. Like, why do they get all our games and we don't get Age of Empires, for example? And I was just like, well, why do people treat it like it's this, why do they take personal offense at that? Don't they want Microsoft to make more money so they can invest more in the future and stuff? I don't get it. And how do you feel about that, Ryan? How do you feel that Xbox doesn't really have exclusives now? Everything is on PC. Does that bother you?
That's never bothered me, like, at all. Like, the fact that somebody could play Quantum Break on the PC or somebody can play Halo Wars on the PC and I played on the Xbox, it doesn't bother me that these games can be played someone else. It never has. I don't care, like, at all. Like, I don't know, like, and I really don't understand why people do care about it, to be quite frank. Like Halo 6, right? Or Halo Infinite, the next Halo, is going to be on the PC.
Yes, it is.
Going to be a Windows 10 game. And people aren't going to like that for whatever reason. I don't know what it is. But as long as they don't do crossplay and force me to play against, like matchmaking against people on keyboard and mouse, I don't care. I don't care that other people are playing Halo on the PC and I'm playing it on the Xbox. I don't care at all. Like it, I don't understand the mindset of someone who does care.
Same. It's weird, man.
But people are weird. What are you gonna do about it? People are very, very weird. Like
people are weird.
A lot of the people how many people have you banned today in the chat?
Many people.
Many, many, many people?
Many people.
How many people?
50,000 people. No, that's a lie.
50,000.
I don't know. Enough people, put it that way.
Yeah. You brought up Xbox One exclusives, Jeds, and I figured we'd have a little segment here. I wanted to get your top 5 or top 3 best Xbox One exclusives. Like, in a scenario where someone is coming into the Xbox ecosystem right away, for the first time, what 3 games that are exclusive? And I know when I say exclusive, I know the games are on PC because people always they're typing on their keyboards already, like, "Ooh, Rain, Xbox has no exclusive." Like, I get it, they're on PC, but the person doesn't have a PC. He's getting an Xbox and he wants to know what games that are exclusive are good. So, like, which ones would you recommend to him? That which ones are your favorite?
I mean, we're both going to say Ori and the Blind Forest first.
Yeah, well, that's my number one. That's like my favorite. you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, so like, Ori and the Blind Forest, we both would say. What else? What other games would you recommend?
Gears 4 is a big favorite of mine, and I know not everyone likes it, but I really like Gears. I'm a huge fan of Gears. I love Horde mode, and there's a lot of stuff to do if you are playing with friends. I really like the campaign. I like sawing things with a chainsaw. There it is, man. There it is. Also, my personal top exclusive is State of Decay 2, but I wouldn't necessarily recommend that without caveats. You know, I wouldn't be like
what type? Like if you need someone to play with, have you played the first? Like what type of caveats are we talking about here?
if you're not big on management games, if you're not big on the strategy stuff and grinding and that sort of thing, and narrative light games, then people aren't going to like State of Decay 2, straight up. And also, it's still not what I call a masterpiece. It's not a particularly beautiful game. It's just like a personal. I just like zombies, so that's more of a subjective thing. But I think if I was going to recommend three exclusives, it'd be Gears of War 4, it'd be Ori and the Blind Forest, and honestly, maybe the Halo Master Chief Collection, because and people are saying this in chat, but there is so much content in that single package. I know it's old content a lot of the time. If someone hasn't played Halo though, don't you think that's a really good deal? The Master Chief Collection.
I mean, if you'd never played Halo, sure, because you get 5 campaigns. You get Halo 1, 2, 3, and 4. You get ODST. You have all the multiplayer. They are fixing it, supposedly. They're running the insider stuff now. It's getting updated for 4K for the Xbox One X. So yeah, I mean, I could see why you could say, if you haven't played any Halo game, and if you're looking for something that's going to last you quite a long time, then boom. Halo Master Chief Collection, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
That's definitely like I mean, I don't know if you agree with me here, but like Xbox is Halo forever and always.
It's pretty much like, I mean, it's not for me. I'm not a huge Halo guy, but like Halo, Forza, and Gears are like the trinity of Xbox in a way. I'm not a racing fan. I'm not a Halo fan, so it's more Gears for me. But Xbox does have some good exclusives. I mean, if you go further back in the back catalog,
it's kind of a shame you have to go further back in the backlog, though. That's, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
you gotta go like, if we go back to the beginning of the generation, let's recommend some stuff from 2013 and 2014 now.
It's hard though, because like I want to say Quantum Break, but I don't want to say Quantum Break because it's never going to have a sequel, and the game kind of needs one.
It's got a sequel. It's called Control.
I hate that so much. I hate that because that could have been Quantum Break 2, but whatever. Yeah, like Quantum Break's a great game, but I feel it's got an unsatisfying ending, and it feels like there was meant to be more to it. Same with Alan Wake, and I know that's not a Xbox One game, but unsatisfied. And then Rise as well. Huge potential in Rise, and it's just like, wow, this is never ever coming back. So I mean, what would you say, man? We both said Ori.
So we both said Ori. So I'm gonna say Cuphead.
Cuphead.
Because I think Cuphead is one of the best games on console. Period. On Xbox, one of the best games on that you can play. Yeah, it's a little bit hard. So maybe with the caveat that might be too difficult for like a newbie or something. But I think Cuphead is like one of those games where, like, if you look back on this generation, it's definitely rated in the top 5 of Xbox exclusives, even though it's on PC, just by how good and how different it is. There's no game out there that looks like Cuphead, and that type of game really didn't get made anymore. So I definitely would recommend that one for sure. I got to go with Forza Horizon 3 as like a game to go along with that. Like I know the Forza series is very popular, and I think motorsport is too niche to recommend to somebody at this point. You know what I mean? Like
Yep.
it's way too niche. It's in a genre that I don't really
Is that
see.
how Americans say niche?
Niche, whatever. You know what I mean? Horizon is the best Forza Horizon game. It's easily the best Forza game. Um, it's arcadey. You can have a ton of fun with it. That's why I would recommend Forza Horizon 3 over any of the other Forza games. And who knows, maybe it would be Forza Horizon 4 after this year. But then, like you, I started thinking about some other games. Sure, Halo 5. I love the multiplayer. Gears of War 4. I'm a big Gears fan, but maybe if the person hasn't played a Gears game, do you want to stick them down in the fourth? Quantum Break I really liked, but like you said, no sequel. Rise Son of Rome. I mean, it was a good launch game. Like I'm not sure, you play that 5 years later and it's like, oh my god, Rise is amazing. It was like, okay, it was a fine launch game for what it was. Honestly, it comes down to two choices for me. One of them being Sunset Overdrive, because of how fun that is, and just like with Quantum Break, it's like a game that's probably more likely never going to get a sequel. But it is a lot of fun. And then I come down to the other game, one that kind of maybe defined multiplayer in 2014, even though it got a sequel that's on PlayStation. That's Titanfall 1.
Titanfall 1.
Titanfall 1 is exclusive. And a lot of people forget about like how good Titanfall 1 was, how great the multiplayer was.
Can you really recommend something that probably has like a queue time of 50,000 years?
I mean that's the thing. It's like when you're looking at like there's all these caveats. It's like sure there's already a sequel out that has single player. There's probably not enough people playing Titanfall 1.
That's the thing. That's the thing about Sony versus Xbox exclusives. There's always caveats when it comes to Xbox exclusives, and even though like Xbox has these great multiplayer games die, whereas God of War is basically timeless. And not only is that game timeless, it's going to get a sequel, and the franchise is alive and well. You can't say the same about Quantum Break. You can't say the same about Rise. It's like, yeah, I want to recommend Rise, but don't get too invested in it because it's never going to have a sequel. Yeah, I want to recommend Quantum Break, but again, never going to have a sequel. Whereas like you can easily just reel off 4 to maybe 8 really great timeless PlayStation 4 exclusives.
Yeah, I mean, you got Ratchet and Clank, you got Bloodborne, you have God of War. I mean, you got the Killzone games, although I don't know. I hear those aren't
Last
very
of Us
good.
Remastered,
The Last of Us, the Uncharted games. There's quite a bit of those. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like when you're looking at the list of Xbox like One exclusives, it's definitely front loaded for the generation. And we've beaten the death about why the exclusives dried up and why they weren't very good. I mean, you can go back and listen to the previous podcast about what happened there. But I think the future's bright on that side. They did pick up 5 new studios, and JD Gamer does kind of mention this in his super chat. He says, Random Jez, should Microsoft bring Studio MDHR and Moon Studios into the first party camp?
Oh, for sure.
I mean, they should, but there's always the issue of, do either of those two studios want to be owned? Do they value their independence? I think those two studios do amazing work, and they would be boon to anybody's first party stable. But I have a feeling both, and I'm pretty sure Thomas Muller of Moon Studios, Mueller, has talked about how they want to remain independent. And for some people, that beats a check from Microsoft. But I think they would be great pickups. What about you, Jez?
Yeah, I agree for sure. It just depends whether they actually want to get picked up.
Do you still feel that Microsoft is going to pick up any more studios? You still feel like Oh, you know they are.
I don't know
Okay.
who, but I know they're looking at it.
I mean,
I know they're looking at it.
I know they're looking at it, right? I know that too. But I'm saying, if you had to bet $100 on Microsoft acquiring another new studio by the end of the year, how confident are you in that
Ooh,
scenario
by the end of the
happening?
year,
Yeah,
by the end
by
of the
the
year.
end of this year,
Ooh.
confident. As I'm saying, like, I know they're looking for studios too, but are you confident they're going to actually announce and get one before the year's over?
I'm going to be optimistic and say yes. I think we'll hear about at least one more studio this year that Microsoft acquires.
Do you think it'll be on the smaller end?
Potentially on the smaller end. But yeah, I think we will. I think we will. What do you think?
I don't think so. Not this year.
No? Fair
No.
enough. Fair
I,
enough.
I I do think Microsoft needs to. I do think they need to make another purchase another studio. Um, and I do think it needs to be a bigger studio. But that's just me. I mean, I obviously you want more content creators in your stable. Than But like I don't know, I just kind of feel like when I was watching Phil unveil all those studios, it's like okay, yeah, 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 and then it was like, oh, but if there's just one more, like, oh, and we got Remedy, I'd be like, oh, okay, because like, and this, I don't take this as a like the wrong way, but like I'm just not real like Compulsion Games doesn't really they don't really do anything for me, and quite frankly, neither does Undead Labs. You know what I mean? Like I look at those pickups and I'm just like, I get Playground Games 100%. I know why they bought them. They're a great studio. Uh, you'd be dumb not to. I get why they built a brand new, studio with Daryl Gallagher and Santa Monica. And I get why they built Ninja Theory or bought Ninja Theory. Ninja Theory is going to help solve that, single player experience on Xbox. But I look at Undead Labs and I'm not that big of a fan of State of Decay. And it's like, okay, what else are they going to bring to the table? You're just going to do State of Decay 3 again forever? It's, next State of Decays. I'm like, okay. And then Compulsion Games is like, maybe this would be a topic best revisited after We Happy Few comes out to see how well that game kind of ended up, right?
Yeah.
Because it could be really well. And then, of course, later on, you'd be like, okay, well, We Happy Few was a great pickup or Compulsion Games ended up being a great pickup because We Happy Few ended up being so good. And how they turned on the dime. It's no longer that survival game, but an actual single player game.
I think it still has survival elements, but it's like
Well,
there's
yeah,
a
but they're
single player
toned down.
campaign now. There's a campaign now.
Right. So like I kind of look at it as like, okay, so we got I understand three of them and the three great pickups. I'm just kind of like on the borderline fence on two of them, but a compulsion that could change with We Happy Few depending on how good it is. JD Gamer, thanks for a super chat. He says that he thinks they should acquire or open some Japanese game studios, like the
Ooh.
Initiative in Japan. And I've seen
Ooh.
people talk about that, like people wanting Microsoft to like buy Capcom or buy Sega. I not realistic, of course, but try to
Capcom
open
is
up.
so realistic.
You think it's realistic for them
No,
to?
it'd be awesome, but no, it's not gonna happen. I don't think.
Yeah,
It's like who would they buy? On the Japanese side. And I saw someone else saying like, can't they build up their own studios? And like, sure, maybe that's an option, but that's slow. And everyone wants exclusives now. I mean,
yeah.
either they do it slow and steady, or they go like guns blazing and just pick up some studios and try and do this as fast as possible. And sure, they can easily fund building new studios and hiring the talent in order to see those studios get built, but time is of the essence, apparently. So for Japanese developers, I'd love to see them pick up a studio that could deliver sort of quality turn-based JRPGs, like the devs of Mistwalker, something like that, or the devs of Octopath Traveler, which looks absolutely excellent. There's such a huge gap in the market now for that sort of game. It drives me insane that nobody's really picked that up anymore. And I hate that Square Enix has abandoned it for Final Fantasy as well. I mean, that's a whole nother topic, but
Right. Well, Show and W, thanks for the super chat. He says the same thing. Xbox Japanese style game focused studio. I mean, I know there was a report that Phil went out to Japan. He was like trying to get like feedback on. Remember, I think it was the article I read. It was like Japanese developers helped build the Xbox Scarlet or something. You recall that?
Oh yeah, I really didn't understand that. I mean,
But I didn't.
obviously Microsoft always consults Japanese devs when they make
Yeah,
games.
I mean, Phil's been trying hard to get Japanese games to come to Xbox. Seems like Niers did all right. It was constantly in the top 3 or top 4 for
Yeah.
sales games. On the X, and Crash is number 1 still, so that must have did pretty good. I don't know if Microsoft should actually. I don't know if there's a good studio they could buy in Japan that would be worth it.
Mm.
I don't even know what studios like left for them to even pick up. I mean, I know there's Obsidian, there's Sumo Digital, and a few others, but like I think they need to make one more. But I don't know. I mean, I know you when I stated like the Undead Labs thing is kind of like whatever. I'm sure you're probably like, no, Rand, no, you don't understand.
No,
Okay, three is gonna be so cool. It's gonna be a shared world, zombie game, and you're finally gonna get it. And it was a great pickup.
Nah, I get it. I get people like. I mean, it's fair to not have a huge amount of faith in them because of how State of Decay 2 launched. I mean, the 2.0 update fixed so many damn bugs. I don't know if you saw how big that update was, but that's how the game should have launched. But even then, it's still not got dedicated servers and all that sort of stuff. So I can see why Undead Labs have to prove themselves to some degree. They made a great Game Pass title, but are they going to make a game that sells consoles? I don't know. They're not a Playground Games pedigree, at this moment, And I've heard that Jeff Strain has a plan to grow the studio, and they do want to get to that level. So it's more of a wait and see. So I get where you're coming from with that completely. But I would like to see them pick up another dev on the level of Playground Games, and I think a lot of other people would too. I know you would.
Yeah.
Because you hate indie games.
I love me some indie games, man. Good indie games, really good indie games. Like I want like good games, not necessarily bad ones because there's a ton of bad ones.
It's a good indie game. Moonlighter.
I know you talked about that earlier in the show, but it's got bad achievements though, unfortunately. Show and W says open studio that mixes Eastern and Western style game.
No, there you go. You see, I don't know if that works. Like a lot of devs have tried this, and you end up with like Final Fantasy 15, which I get was probably successful, but it tried to be The Witcher and Final Fantasy at the same time, and I just don't think it worked that well. Did you play Final Fantasy 15?
I played a little bit of it. I want to get back to it. I actually quite enjoyed it, but something else came out like right around the time it launched, so I didn't get to really delve deep into it.
So like Final Fantasy is like one of my favorite franchises of all time, but up to a point. Like after, I suppose it was like Final Fantasy X where it started going downhill, but I still like Final Fantasy X. But Final Fantasy 11 was an MMO, so let's not talk about that because I think it's one of the worst games I've ever played in my life. And then we can talk about Final Fantasy 12, which was just kind of odd. It was sort of like somewhere between like Final Fantasy 11. It was almost like an MMO style combat system. It was weird. And I know it has its fans, but again, I still wanted that turn-based experience. Final Fantasy 13 was straight up terrible. Couldn't even finish it. It was so lame. So let's not talk about that either. Final Fantasy 14 again, MMO, and Final Fantasy 15 felt like a step in the right direction, and so did Final Fantasy Type 0, which we talked about last week a bit. But again, I'm not sure like they lit the world on fire. I don't know. I mean, and they sell well just because of the brand, but I don't know.
I have an idea here. And I thought I saw somebody mention it in chat, so I'm sorry if I didn't catch your name, but it's something that I've wanted for some time, and it like since we're on like what we want, and we would both love to see Microsoft buy another studio, and I'm excited about 3 of the purchases that they made because I believe Playground is going to make a kick-ass Fable. Which, Jez, did you see the Inside Xbox thing where they had a chicken suit dude in Forza?
Yeah, I mean, that was such That was such a tease, man.
They're
That was
they're
such a tease.
they're not even hiding it anymore. You know, they're not even hiding the fact that they're making Fable. But either way,
What if they're just mocking the rumor? What if they're not making it at all?
that would be quite the thing if like they're really not working on it. But either way, like
Hey, Mikey Barra's in the chat. Something
I
like
did see it. Mike Ybarra talked to him last night for a little bit. What's going on, Mike? I would love like buying studios is great, and I love that that Xbox did that. Right. What I would really love is like, and you don't have to buy new studios to do this, but I would love for 343 and the Coalition to do something that's not Gears of War and Halo.
See, I wouldn't.
See, I would though, because
I would be sad if they stopped making Gears.
well,
I don't care about Halo.
I never said they have to stop making Gears. You
I
don't.
mean,
You
like,
don't have like.
But the thing is, man, this is what happened with BioWare. They gave Mass Effect to like a new sort of unprepared studio, and then we got Mass Effect Andromeda. I mean, do you really want to trust the Gears franchise with not
No,
the main Coalition team?
I'm not saying you need to stop making Gears. I'm not even saying you need to ship off Gears to a different studio. I just think that the people working at the Coalition are incredibly talented, and that, you know, like if you just kind of if you I don't know, maybe they're not big enough or whatever, but like I kind of dream of like, you know, a Halo RPG instead of just a first person shooter or something like, or not even that, not even something like a Halo RPG, but just like
What if they
something
like
brand
working
new.
on Gears?
Well, maybe. I mean, I'm sure they do, but like, I'm just saying, like, I would love like 343 is very talented people. So does the Coalition, and you know, when very talented and creative people get together, they can create something truly revolutionary or evolutionary. And like, who knows what the Coalition could come up with if they weren't just if it just wasn't Gears. I don't know. That's kind of pie in the sky stuff, but I would like to see that. Yeah, I know you like pie, but I know you'd be upset if you didn't get your Gears of War because you love chainsawing people to death.
I do. I do.
So what else you want to talk about, Jazz? What else do you have in that brain of yours rattling around?
Yeah.
You see, did you
Moonlighter, good game.
True. Did you see that Microsoft finally changed the store design?
Yes, I did, and
it actually runs well, at least for me. God, it used to run so horribly for me.
Yeah, it looks really clean. And I've also noticed that the Windows Store is broken in the UK, and it has been for several weeks, and they haven't fixed it. So I don't know who's working on the stores for Microsoft, but the Xbox team is far better than the Windows Store team. Just throwing that out there.
Interesting. You think
Seriously,
so, huh?
it's been broken for weeks, and they haven't fixed it. Like, what's going on? There's no like banner at the top of the page. It's weird, man.
I don't know. I actually really like the new layout for the store. The store runs better. Someone actually requested me to make a video walkthrough of the new store, which is probably something I will get to. But yeah, long time coming. Long time coming for a redesign of the store. And you know what's next? How about cart or wish list? You know what? I was thinking you could actually do a wish list, couldn't you, with the new groups? You could just like make a group with the games that you want to buy at the end of the year and just put them in there, kind of.
That'd be cool. It's a good idea. Put it in the feedback hub, man.
I've
seen concept art of the wish list that Microsoft was showing devs at GDC. I don't know if it actually is going to look like that when it comes out, because you know it's just concept art, but it is coming. Like they've been telling devs for a while that it's on the way. And I think it actually might be in some of the fast-ring builds for Windows, the cart thing. I don't know.
Right. Buddha Time has a question for us. He wants to know, what do you guys think about what if there were no such things as exclusive games? As in all games are available on all consoles, and then people can just choose the console they want.
Console war fanboys wouldn't be happy about that.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it sounds cool, but what if there were no more exclusive and all? I mean, but at that point, what's the purpose of other consoles? You know, if all games were on, if there were no more exclusive games, then what's the point? And there were like three consoles to buy. What's the point of the consoles? I don't know. I've always kind of just thought that the exclusives are what define your platform, and it's the reason you want people to buy into it. You know, Halo and Gears and Forza and Fable are the reason you get an Xbox or you know play on Windows 10, and Uncharted and Killzone and God of War were the games you got for PlayStation if you wanted that. And then, you know, if you like Mario and Zelda, then you got a Nintendo Switch. If those were gone, if everything was just on every platform, then I mean, what's the point of the other consoles at that point? I don't know. I mean, I guess you'd be like, well, I'll choose Xbox because I like the controller, or someone chooses PlayStation because their friends are there, or I don't know.
It won't happen. It's so exclusive games are Sony's bread and butter, so like, kind of can't happen.
Well, I mean, obviously this is a hypothetical scenario, but Face wants to know. I've seen a video on YouTube, not mentioning any names, but they compared genres between PlayStation and Xbox. Do you consider Uncharted 4 an action-adventure game or a third-person cover shooter? Huh. Well, isn't it both? I know, like, during Game Awards season, Uncharted always is in that action-adventure category, is it not? Isn't Gears of War an action-adventure game? Or, like, it's just that, like, the mechanics are of a third-person cover shooter. But I'm like, because I'm sure isn't Tomb Raider, doesn't that Tomb Raider fall in their adventure category or action adventure category?
I struggle with this, man, because action adventure is such a broad genre now. I mean, is Uncharted an open world adventure or an action adventure? Like, there's no clear definition.
I don't know. Like, I know Uncharted is a third-person shooter, but at the same time, it's also an action-adventure game. So, I mean, I guess first-person shooter is different because Halo's a first-person shooter, but then you wouldn't call it an action or adventure game. I don't know. I think the genre listings are pretty weird, to be quite frank. I'm not even sure what Gears is. Would Gears qualify as an action game? An action adventure game, or is it a third person?
It's a third person shooter, isn't it? I don't know.
Yeah, but I don't really see, like, when you look at like the Game Awards, right, and their categories of games, there's no like third person shooter category, right?
I don't know. I don't really pay attention to the awards.
Jess, you're supposed to be a journalist in the video game industry. You do your own award show called the Jezzies.
Yeah, that's the only award show I care about. It's my award show. It's
and you don't have what is the best categories? I don't know.
I have awards like which is the best video game cat, man. I don't care about that stuff. I mean, what's the chat thing? Does it even matter?
All right, yeah. So what is Uncharted, chat? Type of 1 if you think Uncharted is an action adventure game, or 2 if you think it's a third person shooter. We'll have chat decide this dilemma. 1 for action adventure, 2 for third person cover shooter.
It's a shame we can't do votes like a Mixer. That'd be really easy.
Yeah, Mixer's the bomb. I saw Mixer just updated their partner qualifications.
Yeah, they've done that so like you don't have to stream Fortnite.
You know what? I was thinking the same thing. Like, man, it must be tough for a new streamer to get into it because like all people want to watch are like Fortnite streams and PUBG streams and whatever's popular. You know? Yeah. I also think wouldn't you like maybe it's just me, but like I would be bored out of my mind if I had to play Fortnite 8 hours a day, 5 days a week to stream, like every single day.
I can't believe people actually do that.
Like I understand it's their job or whatever, but like I would want to kill myself. You know what I mean? I would be, especially if like you were doing it because you thought you had to do it to get popular. Like this is a popular game, I have to stream it. And you don't actually like Fortnite or PUBG. Like, wouldn't you just be like, just kill me now? Just kill me because this isn't fun.
Yep.
Convicted Felon wants to know, Rand, how do you feel about Earthfall and Mixer? Watch parties can send sparks and spawn an enemy's gun's health randomly. Good interaction.
Oh yeah, we talked a little bit about this earlier. So like for those who don't know, in Earthfall it has like native mixer support. So people who are watching an Earthfall stream, if the streamer turns it on, they can interfere with the game, spawning mobs, spawning weapons. Deep Rock Galactic has this as well, and a few other little games have it as well. I don't know which off the top of my head, but yeah. So it's awesome, I think. I don't know what
Yeah,
you
but
think.
I mean, how much does I mean? It's cool. It's a cool feature for sure. Um, I just I'm not really. I don't know. Like I don't think it really matters that much, to be honest with you.
It's just like a cool kind of feature. I hope it takes off a bit more than it has. Um, what it really needs is like a big game to use it. And I remember when Mixer was first talking about this stuff with devs, they actually showed they used Sea of Thieves as an example of how that could be something that the game uses, but obviously that never materialized. And I get that Rare's probably working on content as a priority right now, but it is a bit strange that Microsoft's own big games aren't really using it. I don't know.
Hmm.
I don't know.
Hey, you remember a couple weeks ago when the crossplay stuff blew up between Fortnite and PlayStation, right? And Sony stock tumbled, and people were like, "Oh my god, Fortnite stuff causes Sony stock to like collapse," right? But it really had nothing to do
Yeah,
with Fortnite. Remember
yeah,
that?
I remember that.
Did you see today where Sony stock hit a 10-year high?
Yes, I did.
And then did you also see that EA stock is at the highest point it's ever been?
Yes, I did.
So apparently the loot boxes and Star Wars stuff didn't do shit for EA. Only made them all richer, huh?
Yep, indeedy do. I
Hmm.
am sorry, not shocked, man. You shocked?
No, of course not. I mean, I knew what it was. I think I did a video about it beforehand, and like I don't know, people like I know it's like a cool headline, but like, oh, Fortnite crossplay causes Sony to drop their stock, right? It's a nice little like catchy headline, very kind of clickbaity, when of course it has nothing to really do with it.
Mm.
And then in the same thing with EA. Here's EA, like what is it, July, and it's their stocks at the highest it's ever been. Um, just kind of like EA's is laughing all the way to the bank. Although it did kind of screw, I mean, that whole kind of thing really didn't screw EA. It just kind of screwed Star Wars Battlefront, you know?
Yeah, Star Wars Battlefront is struggling right now. The community in Star Wars Battlefront is complaining all the time. I'm in the Star Wars Battlefront subreddit, which is probably like the biggest Battlefront community. People are mad about that game because like there's barely any new content, blah blah blah. I mean, what did they expect? The game has no monetization now, so why would there be more content? And it sort of makes you wonder what's going to happen with Battlefield 5 if they have no season pass and no like pay to win loot crates, just cosmetics. Is it going to have enough content to enough monetization to justify EA working on it, or you know, it's annoying. I don't
Hmm.
know.
Did you happen to read Amy Hennig's interview?
I didn't read the interview, but I saw the headline. Are you talking about when Amy Hennig said AAA the price of AAA games is unsustainable?
Well, yeah, when she basically says single player games are terrifying to make.
Yeah. How do you feel
Um,
about that? I also saw Matt. I can't remember his surname, but Matt from MPD, who tweets sometimes, he said that God of War is an exception to the rule, and that pretty much all of the single player games should never be made. Something I'm paraphrasing
well, yeah,
slightly,
because
but
so I have the interview up, and she says that um, she said Henning was asked if she thought the single player games were dead after what happened while she was at EA. She expressed doubt at the idea that such games are on the way out, while at the same time thanking Sony for continuing to foot the bill for similar products. She says that big budget single player games are terrifying to make, they're very expensive, and it doesn't suit the model of having a massive open world or hours and hours of gameplay or running a live service, which is what everybody is shooting for these days.
mm,
Um, I mean, look, we all know like single player games are incredibly expensive to make. And with like something like God of War, it's like a game that doesn't have microtransactions or a season pass. It's like your whole business model is based on like, can we sell enough games at this price point to, turn
I
a
love
profit, right?
I love that. So I just want to throw out that I love that Sony committed to making just a basic single player game with no upsell, no sort of gotcha, no hidden catch. They just made a piece of art, sold it, no season pass, no loot crates. I think that deserves praise. But like you can see that they could have made more money if they did it another way. And you can kind of see why EA and to some degree Microsoft don't do it that way. You
Well,
know?
I mean, I understand single player gaming is super expensive, especially if you're trying to build like a big AAA one or a big quadruple A or whatever it is.
Mm,
It is kind of terrifying to me being an older gamer. Like I'm 36. I grew up in an era where like single player games are my favorite. Like they're what I remember most about gaming. Yeah, Halo 2 kind of like has a lot of memories for me because of my first online game, but I don't know, like single player to me is like video games. And to see, her talk, because she was in charge of Uncharted, and she's talking about how they're terrifying to make because the budgets are so huge, and you don't really have a model of like, daily revenue like you do like Fortnite. Fortnite's bringing in like millions of dollars every single day, you know. PUBG, same thing. It's like God of War is just a one time. Yeah, you have a lot of people buy it, but uh like Rainbow Six Siege like came out what 3 years ago. That game's still making like money hand over fist every single day because of
mm,
what's in it, the live service, the DLC, the microtransactions. And of course, I mean, like, look, video games are a creative process, they're art, they're all those things, but there is also a business behind it. Like Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo, they're not charities. So like while they want to make great art and great creative games, they also have to be profitable so the business can stay open so they can make other things. So it's like it's kind of that delicate balance of like we want to make this, but we also need to make money. So what
mm.
do you do? So you have a game like God of War, and you're right. Like, hey, no microtransactions, no single pass. It's gonna succeed or fail based on how many people actually really buy it. But then you have other games like Far Cry 5 has a multiplayer mode and has what like individual DLCs that you can buy. Like almost every other game that comes out has some sort of monetization to some way to try to like actually get that extra um, money. But here's a question for you: since they're terrifying to make, and even though she says they're not going away, but they might become less, would you be more willing to buy a single player game if it was priced at $80 if publishers were more willing to make them as long as you were as long as you're willing to eat the cost? So instead of
Well,
a game being 60, the game's $80, but you've got more single player games.
I think so personally, but it depends. Like a game like The Witcher 3, for example. I've got like well over 100 hours in The Witcher 3, and I spent like what 50 quid on that game. I spent like 100 quid on a night out with my friends, and that's just for like maybe 3 or 4 hours of entertainment and then a headache the next day. And I spend £100 on that. Whereas The Witcher 3, I can spend £50 and get hundreds and hundreds of hours of entertainment potentially. So, some I don't know why people I don't know why the idea of paying more for higher quality is controversial. I don't know why um like games have this fixed $60 price point or $50
Well,
price
okay.
point or whatever it is.
Well, do
Because
they?
think of it this way. Like a band, for example. Like you go and see an indie band that you really like, it's a really good band, you love them. The ticket to go and see them is maybe 20 quid. You go and see Nine Inch Nails, the ticket's like 80 quid. Because they're a bigger band, they've got more production values. They've got lasers in their light. They've got a light show. They're a huge band, bigger venue, blah blah blah. everything is better quality, why should, you know, The Witcher 3 cost the same amount of money as maybe a much worse single player game? You know?
Well,
And
okay.
some companies, Microsoft's often prices their games down if they're worse. Like Recore, for example. Recore wasn't full price. State of Decay wasn't full price because they didn't have those full price production values. You know.
Well, Ermi says, and this is true because we didn't really mention it, but like every game has this. He's like, no, stop with the standard edition, the deluxe edition, and ultimate version nonsense. This is where Jez and Rand don't call companies out. So I guess games really aren't $60 anymore. The standard version, yes, is. The deluxe is 80 and the ultimate edition is 100. And I've called out Microsoft for their ultimate editions before. Because
the ultimate editions that aren't ultimate.
Yeah, they're not
Like
ultimate. Like they don't include the expansions. They make you buy them separately. And for something that's called the Ultimate Edition, it better include everything released for the game. Otherwise, what the hell? And so yeah, I complained. The Forza Horizon 3 did that. Sounds like State of Decay 2 is going to do that. Halo Wars 2 did that. I think it's bullshit that they make an Ultimate Edition and it doesn't include everything. I've said that before. We've said it on this show. Although it does look like Forza Horizon 4 has rectified that because the Ultimate Edition will include the 2 expansions, which is great. But I don't know. Like, do you think, because I've seen people say like the Ultimate Editions, or maybe not necessarily Ultimate Editions, but the early access is a problem. Or do you get up? Do you think people are right with that, Jez? That the early, like, oh, if you buy the Ultimate Edition, it comes with 4 days early access. Like, do you think, like, because some people get pissed off at that? Do you think they have a merit to that, of getting upset that they're locking behind early access to a more expensive version of the game?
It is a cheap kind of tactic, you know. I think like Ultimate Edition should. I wish there was like a industry standard that just kept things simple, you know, and just like an Ultimate Edition means you get all the planned DLC and maybe early access as well, or like you get Deluxe Edition, which maybe has a bit of, you know, cosmetic stuff in it, blah blah blah. The problem is every company does it differently, so it's hard to be like, these are my expectations for an Ultimate Edition, because some companies are naughty, like Microsoft, sell you an Ultimate Edition, and then they add more content later on that isn't part of the Ultimate Edition. Like, for example, Halo Wars 2. The best mode in Halo Wars 2 is Terminus Firefight Horde mode. That isn't in the Ultimate Edition. It's in the DLC, which came out after everyone stopped playing the game, which is so annoying because I really like Terminus Firefight, but there was no one to play it because the game was dead. So, to be honest, I don't know why Halo Wars and its DLC isn't in Game Pass. It isn't, right? It should be.
Halo Wars.
Halo Wars 2?
Is Halo Wars 2 in Game Pass?
If it isn't, it should be.
If it isn't, it should be. Like, I honestly think all Microsoft games should be in Game Pass. The fact there's not a single Forza Horizon in Game Pass is kind of weird to me.
That's because of the music.
Okay, but I mean, like, well, okay, but they're going to run into a problem with Forza Horizon 4.
Well, that's why it doesn't have music. It doesn't have that music.
Excuse me?
It doesn't have licensed music, Forza Horizon 4.
So you're telling me there's no churches in Forza Horizon 4?
Churches?
Yeah, the band. They've been in all the other Forza Horizon games. Are you telling me?
I mean, maybe. I mean, if they have a special deal or something, but there's not going to be like a huge abundance of licensed stuff, because if it hits Game Pass, then when the license expires, they won't be able to have it in Game Pass anymore because there's got to be a special license to handle that.
Everybody's saying Halo Wars 2 is in Game Pass.
Well, good. It should be. Is it the Ultimate Edition? Because that's another thing I've
No,
noticed.
they're not going to give you the Ultimate Edition in Game Pass.
But they should, because the best mode is in the DLC.
The whole point of Game Pass is to give you the game, but then maybe potentially you buy, you know, all the other stuff.
Terminus Firefight isn't in Game Pass. That's the bit that should be in Game Pass. Oh man, I don't know, dude. I love Moonlighter. By the way, I just killed the first boss.
Did you?
Yeah, I did. I smashed his face in with a two-handed sword. I'm really pleased with myself.
Hey, Di Almighty Spartan God wants to know if we're going to be checking out No Man's Sky on the 24th.
Yes, I am going to be checking out No Man's Sky. I'm someone who, I joked about that game. I thought it was pretty despicable the way they marketed the game. Maybe it wasn't all No Man's Hello Games' fault, but they were like, yeah, it has multiplayer. You can do this, you can do that. And like when the full game came out, it was just sort of this shell. But it sounds like the full game delivers on that original promise, which is sort of like maybe a more accessible version of Elite Dangerous. I really like Elite Dangerous, and I've got like a few dozen hours in Elite Dangerous, but my God, that game is so tedious to play. Like I've got a flight stick for Elite Dangerous, and like I had like a few weeks where I was just sort of addicted to Elite Dangerous, flying around, grinding and stuff like that, but my God, it is such a grind, and it takes so long to do anything. Even to get out of like a dock takes such a long time, unless you invest in the autopilot for the dock, which is a grind unto itself. And again, I don't know what it's like these days, but Elite Dangerous was such a grind, and No Man's Sky looks like a more fun version of Elite Dangerous for people who aren't into that level of hardcore simulation.
Hey, well, Kratopsy and a whole bunch of other people say that Halo Wars 2 Complete Edition is in Game Pass.
Oh, well, there you go. That's good.
Which is honestly really weird. I didn't think they'd have the Complete Edition in Game Pass. It's weird. But I mean, I guess that's cool. I guess that's really cool. I have zero interest in No Man's Sky. None. It's not my type of game, dude. Like, it wasn't my type of game when it came out on PlayStation. It's certainly not my type of game now. Like, I do not care about No Man's Sky.
But it looks really good. Or what don't you like about it?
I don't like I don't like the survival aspect. I don't know.
You don't like space?
I love space. I love space.
Go to space.
I don't know. That is the genre that I am not really interested in whatsoever at all. You know what?
I like how we went into this podcast saying we've got nothing to talk about, and we've had a lot to talk about.
Well, it's because there's topics people are posting in there, and it's just a conversation between two people.
Chat helped us.
They're always helping. Well, there's some idiots in there as usual, but what would really help? We got 303 people watching. I think we got up to 320. I only see 121 likes. Oh, 14 dislikes though. Oh man, that's usually a little bit higher than normal. So do me and Jez a favor, and if you're enjoying the show, hit that like button, would you? So Face has an interesting question here, Jez. He says, if you were launching Project Scarlet, what games and price point and features would you launch it at? And what would you name the next Xbox console?
Well, they better not call it the Xbox 2.
No, that'd be great if they called it the Xbox 2. Imagine all the traffic we'd get.
Well, I suppose it'd be good for SEO.
Yeah, exactly.
But we'd have to sue them for copyright infringement.
I would expect an email from Mike Ibarra being like, by the way, you need to change your podcast name, or else cease and desist. I'd be like, Mike, no, please. Price point easy, $400, not a cent more. That's an easy one. or better yet, whatever the price is of the PlayStation, not a cent higher.
Yes. It's got to at least price match, unless it's significantly and demonstrably better than the PlayStation 5. It has to have the same price point. So like ultimately, it doesn't matter what the price point is. It just has to be the same or lower than the PS5, unless it's demonstrably better.
I don't even know if it could be demonstrably better. Could it?
It could, man.
But it would also probably be demonstrably more expensive if it was demonstrably better.
Well, we see. I mean, there are ways Microsoft can edge Sony out in the tech game. They've got lots of teams dedicated to thermals, because they've been working very, very hard to squeeze processors in very, very small spaces for the Surface line. And they've done some amazing thermals with the X. That's one way they can one up Sony. They've also been working a lot with their own co-processors for AI, for HoloLens and stuff like that. So like co-processor is a way that could one up Sony potentially. There are ways that can beat Sony on with the same sort of internals, but sort of slip in some extra magic there to one up like that Hovis method, man. That Hovis method.
I still think you want to be $400 or not a cent more than Sony. That's the price point. The name, damn the name. See, they screwed up the naming. They screwed it up with the Xbox One. Now I don't know. Do you continue on with the family thing? Do you call it Xbox One something else? Do you call it just regularly Xbox? I don't know. I'm sure they probably have people thinking like, "Yo, Mike, Phil, we fucked up by naming it the Xbox One, dude. Like, I don't know what to call the next one. Xbox Infinity?
My God, no! I hate that. Everyone
Xbox Prime. There you go.
Xbox Prime. I don't know.
Yeah.
It sounds like Optimus Prime though. Now.
Well, I mean, like, there's really no good name for it. They screwed up the naming. I mean, like, you can't really call it Xbox 2. You can't call it Xbox 3 or 4. I guess you could continue calling it Xbox One something. But even then, like, I think you want to drop
One Y.
You want to drop. I would imagine you want to drop the One branding because there's still a little bit of tarnish associated with it. So I don't know. They have their work cut out for them trying to figure out what. I mean, I'm all for just calling it Xbox at that point. Just call it Xbox. You know,
just call it Xbox.
Yeah, why not? Why not just call it Xbox? I don't know what they're gonna call it.
It is interesting.
And I would launch it at the end of the year. I'd launch it in November, and like the games, I think
Halo.
Well, I mean, I think it looks like Halo's gonna be lining up for it. Yeah, I think you launch with Halo Infinite. I think you also have in the launch window. I think you want to try to get in there Ninja Theory's game, so you can have a strong single player focus game at launch from your new studio.
Just slightly. Well, I guess it's on topic, but do they release Hellblade 2, or does Ninja Theory make something new?
Ninja Theory makes something new, I think. But that's the thing. Like, so you launch with Halo Infinite, you launch in the window or something with Ninja Theory's new game, have a completely new single player experience, mainly so you can get it out at the beginning of the gen, and then they can actually make another game later on. Obviously, Gears would be a year or two later. I think you launch with Forza Motorsport 8. No, better yet, you don't launch with Forza Motorsport 8. You launch with Forza Horizon 5, because Forza Horizon 5 would be more of a showcase, because it was also the bigger game. I guess if you want to go for technical power, you launch with 8, Forza Motorsport 8. But like I said, I think the motorsport games are played out at this point.
I often think what can they realistically do to the motorsport games? I mean, they're kind of like, it's just sort of the same every year because it's a sim.
Sean M says, "Don't just call it Xbox. That's what the first Xbox was called." Rand, your ideas are pretty weak today. Hey, you should say that to the people that called the Xbox 3 the Xbox One. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm just working with what Microsoft has given me here, and they're giving me shitty naming conventions. Like,
Microsoft sucks at naming, man. I'm going to say that straight up right now. They're pretty much not great at naming.
Because you can't, if you keep Xbox One branding, sure, but it's a tarnished. The one is tarnished. But what do you call this? What do you call this new one? Xbox. You already called it this mid-gen upgrade, Xbox One X. What do you call this next one? Xbox One. It just doesn't make any. I couldn't think of anything. So Xbox Infinite means you can't have one after it. And it's kind of a dumb name anyways. You go back to Xbox 720. It's just dumb. It's dumb that they screwed it all up. And the only way to rectify it is just call it Xbox. Because at this point, Xbox is just going to be not necessarily a service, but it's going to be on your TV. It's going to be on your PC. You know, you got the console. There's going to be everything's going to be forward compatible, presumably. So Halo Infinite's going to be on your new system. It's going to be on your old ones, and it'll just be Xbox. I don't know. Am I crazy thinking that? Maybe.
Well, I mean, that's what they do with laptops, right? I mean, when it comes to Razer Blade laptops, there's like, how many now? Like 3 or 4? and they're all just called Razor Blade, and we have to refer to it as Razor Blade 2018, or is that the way they go? Xbox 2018, stuff like that.
I mean, yeah, Xbox 2020. I don't know, but either way, I mean, they'll pay someone millions of dollars to figure out the name, and it'll be stupid. And by the way, we have dibs on Xbox too, so you
can't call it Xbox 2, Microsoft.
You can email me. Me and Jez will split it, and you come with a competitive price.
We'll license the name.
But no, I think Halo Infinite would be a good launch title. I think Forza Horizon 5 would be a great launch title as well. I think the new franchise from Ninja Theory would be great, because then you can get another game later in the gen. It would kind of alleviate some of that single player stuff. I don't think you launch with Fable. I think you save Fable and Gears for the next year, so 2021. Alongside like Forza Motorsport 8. Trying to think what other studios they have that we haven't accounted for. I don't think you launch with the Initiatives game, because quite frankly, I don't think the Initiatives game is going to be ready by 2020, right? Wait, did I say that? Rand says if a new Xbox does come, it'll be stupid. I'm saying, Mike, whatever name you guys are thinking for the next Xbox, it's going to be pretty... You guys screwed up the naming. You guys screwed up the name with this system. You screwed up the name.
Mike can put out a clickbait article now about what you said.
Whatever you screwed it up. I don't know what you're going to call it. Whatever it is, Xbox Infinity, whatever. It's screwed it up.
Well, Xbox One is a reference to One Core, isn't it? Like the
Xbox One
ecosystem. I think they could just call it Xbox 10, as in Windows 10.
I don't know. I mean, what do you think, Jez, about the launch games?
Launch games, I don't know. I mean, it's going to be Halo Infinite, man, probably. But the problem is it's going to be across everything. Halo Infinite probably, like, if they do release it with Halo Infinite, it's kind of like Halo Infinite needs to do something special on the new one that can't happen on other platforms. Because that probably, Halo Infinite's going to hit PC as well, presumably. So, I don't know. It's hard to say. I think like it probably should release with Fable as well.
If possible. I mean, it'd be cool if it did, but I just don't think. I mean, I'm under the assumption that it's launching 2020, and I just don't think it'll be ready in time. Which is why, like, I think you'd save it for
Horizon devs work. They seem to work fast.
Yeah, but true, they do. But I kind of feel that you save, because you're also going to need games for like you. I'm sure they're sitting there planning out like, okay, when's your game going to be ready? Here's the lineup we have for 2020. Here's 2021, 2022, and everything's got to be nicely spaced out. You have Xbox Game Pass to worry about. But we've talked about this before. You don't think it really matters to have launch games because the Xbox, is going to be, the next Xbox is going to be forward compatible anyways, or back, whatever, So you don't think it matters as much?
Potentially. Oh, Mike's fake. Potentially, man. It's always hard to predict what they're going to do. And do you believe that it's going to be forward compatible? Like, as in, all those games are going to be on the original Xbox too?
I would. I don't want them to be, but then again,
why?
Well, okay, because look, I'll be the first one to say I don't know nothing about game development. I just kind of feel that if you're making Halo Infinite, or if you're making Fable for the Xbox 2, whatever you're calling it, and you're trying to get it to work on the original Xbox One, that you're some ways holding it back. But like maybe you're not. But like I don't know anything. I don't know anything about game development. Maybe UWP does everything. I don't know. But I just want the game the best as possibly can be, and I don't know. I don't know. What do you think? I mean, I don't think they should, but I think they will, because they've talked about. I mean, Mike's talked about it. Phil's talked about it. They want you to play on whatever device you have. So if you want to play the game on your Xbox One S, then you want to play it there, then go ahead. Or you want to play it on your PC, then play it there. It makes sense to do forwards compatibility. If
it holds back development, if it holds back, like, making games look more futuristic and stuff, then sure. But I don't think it will, because it doesn't on PC a lot of the time, at least. And the Monster Hunter apparently doesn't look that great on PC, for example.
Really? Yeah, but it runs at 60 frames though, right?
Yeah, I think so, but it's like it's not as impressive as you would hope. Like it's definitely a console port, is what I'm saying. And I've seen like complaints from PC gamers already about it and stuff like that. And they're saying, oh, like the console version held it back, blah 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 blah. I mean, there's always so many factors you can factor in there. But like the Surface Go, for example, the Surface Go doesn't have a discrete GPU. It has integrated graphics. But I think Sea of Thieves will run on it in its lowest settings, potentially. So depends. It always depends on the dev.
Yeah, well, with all these new studios and stuff, Microsoft actually does have a lot of leeway with what games they want to launch with and how they want to set up their lineup going forward. But that's what I would launch with: Forza Horizon 4, Ninja Theory's new game, and Halo Infinite in some sort of launch window. And then the following year, you have Gears and Forza Motorsport 8, potentially State of Decay 3. And then 2020, and then 2022, I think you can finally get out maybe the Initiatives game, potentially Fable. Maybe you do Fable the year before. I don't know. But either way, I mean, there's a lot to choose from there. maybe we'll get a Super Lucky's Tale 2 if we're lucky, Jez, right?
Dude, some people really love that game.
Yeah, I know.
And you played Barbie for Chivos.
I did play Barbie for Chivos. You know what's gonna happen?
Everyone has different taste, you know, right? That's okay.
Okay. I know. You're playing Moonlighter. I played Barbie. Except I played. No, I wouldn't have played Barbie if it had a gamer score. I wouldn't have done it. I have standards. I told you I have standards.
Damn priorities. Shall we take some questions?
Yeah. Let's take some questions. Hey, before we answer some of these questions, your back compat article got some people upset.
Oh yeah, it did. It did get some people upset.
Well, what is upsetting about backwards compatibility? Like, I've always said, love the idea that you can play all your Xbox games there. Back compat's great. I just don't use it. But why would people be upset that it's there? Or what were people upset about with the article?
Okay, so I wrote an article last week. Like, I'm sort of required to write an opinion piece every week. Or at least, like, that's the aim, is that I write at least one opinion piece a week. And for this week, I was just sort of like, I was looking at what my next big purchase is, because I paid off all my debts recently. So, really happy about that. And I've also, like, came into some inheritance recently because a relative passed away. And I was looking at what console I should buy next, because I have the means to buy another console. I was looking at PlayStation. I was looking at Nintendo Switch extensively. I didn't want to buy both because I didn't want to extend my backlog even more and just buy a box that would ultimately gather dust. So, like, I was really attracted in the Nintendo Switch because of the portability factor and the whole cross-play ecosystem they've got going on with Xbox. But also, you got PlayStation that has loads of amazing games that I've missed out on. And but I realized while I was analyzing what console I should buy, that one of the things that I was really interested in was, to what extent can I play the legacy content on those systems? And I realized that while it wasn't the main purchase decision thing, that the Xbox backwards compatibility, having a continuous library of digital content that travels with me to future generations, I've started to feel like that is the norm. I want that on everything. And you've got, like, the Wii U, which has loads of digital legacy content on its virtual console. None of that stuff is going to be on the Switch, because Nintendo have said, "Oh, we don't believe in virtual console anymore. If you want to get our legacy content, which is, like, ultimately their entire business model is banking on nostalgia, you've got to pay us a subscription fee." I don't like that, Rand. I like paying to own. I like to own my content. And like with Xbox, I feel like I own my content. The digital games that I bought on 360, I own those games, presumably until they shut the servers off in decades from now. So, but on the Switch, they want me to pay a subscription fee to play like the old Pokemon games and stuff like that. Despite the fact the Switch is more than capable of running those games. They are more than capable of running those games because people have hacked emulators onto the Switch because there's no security on that thing. So I could buy a Switch, I could get it hacked, and I could pirate those third party those legacy games. But they are being scumbags about it. So I don't want to buy the Switch because they're being scumbags with their legacy content. And then I looked at PlayStation, and Sony have actually done the focus of my article, Rand, is more Nintendo because of the way they're doing it, which I think their way of doing it is really scummy. Whereas but PlayStation seems to be going down that route as well, because they've announced loads of PS3 games, not even as part of like a permanent service. They've announced it for their streaming service. But to be fair to Sony, they have done loads of really good remasters. Like The Last of Us Remastered is really good, and they've remastered a lot of their legacy content to bring it forward. But the thing is, I don't know if Sony have made that commitment to backwards compatibility with the PS5. You know?
I'm sure they will.
So, I don't know what Sony are going to do there, but I know what Nintendo are going to do, and what Nintendo are doing is shitty. So that was what my article was about. But some people got triggered because they didn't read past the title. Some people got triggered because they were like, oh my God, I can't believe you're so mean to Sony. Some people are getting triggered in the chat now. And like Microsoft does some annoying things, like they lock multiplayer behind a paywall, they lock free-to-play games behind a paywall, which we've talked about before. And that sucks too. But the thing Microsoft doesn't lock behind a paywall or a subscription service is my games that I've paid for, So like I can go back and play Mass Effect 1, 2, 3. I can go back and play Dragon Age 1, 2, and 3. Or, Inquisition. Yeah, I can go back and play those games. But I will be able to play them on the next Xbox, the next Xbox after that, and the Xbox after that. And who knows, maybe even on PC one day. Because Phil said never say never about Xbox 360 emulator on PC. Where Sony hasn't made that commitment. Nintendo have rejected that commitment. So I'm sort of rather than buying those consoles and getting into those ecosystems, I'm kind of like having a wait and see approach now. And I sort of like, I'm surprised that backwards compatibility has become something that I expect. I expect of these systems now. That's all, man.
It does seem like a feature that, with how much Xbox has supported it, that they're almost forcing everybody else to adopt it as like an industry standard. Like at this point, if PlayStation 5 doesn't have back compat, that would be a huge mistake. And it's entirely because Xbox, did this. They pioneered this. So it's almost like they're forcing everybody else to like get in line.
I mean, can you imagine if the PlayStation 5 doesn't play PS4 games? That would be such a blow.
Well, I mean, I always hear from PlayStation fans that they're not about playing older games. So you would assume they wouldn't care, right? Because that's the thing. Like every time there's a new backwards,
the irony is, I don't play that many backwards compatible games. I don't play that many. I talk about my backlog. I don't play that many that often. But the thing is, I just like the peace of mind to know that it's there. I like knowing that my content is mine and it's on this ecosystem that I'm part of. I know that they're not going to artificially cut me away from it because they want to sell it to me again down the line like Nintendo do. The virtual console on Nintendo was split between the different consoles. Like if you bought Pokemon Legacy content on the Nintendo DS, you have to buy it again on the Wii U, I believe. I might be wrong about that actually, but either way, they want you to buy it twice. They want you to subscribe to get it twice, which sucks. I think personally.
Yeah, I just feel that if Microsoft didn't do back compat, then Sony probably wouldn't even think about it for next gen. It's just one of those things. That's why competition is always great, It's these companies have to constantly evolve and improve and offer better things for the money, because someone's always out there trying to get take what you have. So I mean, like, look, I don't use back compat, but I'm happy it's there. And if that becomes like a standard thing for the industry, where it's just like, well, now it's just every system going forward is going to have it, then it's a great thing, is it not? Like, the content that you paid for is going to be on future platforms. Like, you can rest. That's kind of like the promise Phil made. Like, basically said, if you buy a game on Xbox, rest assured that you're going to be able to play it on future Xbox platforms. I'm
sure PlayStation 5 will have backwards compatibility, and Phil said in an interview it's inspired by PC, because like on PC, and also my article talks about, I have that expectation from being like a casual PC gamer that I could go back and play an MS-DOS game on my Windows 10 PC if I fancied. I went and played Wasteland 1, which came out like, God, I think it came out in the 80s, maybe like the early 90s at best. But it came out on MS-DOS, and you can install DOSBox and just run it on your modern PC like it's nothing. Like, it ain't no thing,
And I didn't mean pioneered and mean like, okay, so I said Microsoft pioneered back compat for this gen. I didn't mean they literally were the first ones to do it ever. I'm talking about strictly this generation, when everybody moved away from backwards compatibility, both the PlayStation and the original or the Xbox One. Nobody was doing it anymore. But now that Xbox it's like,
it's become an issue.
Would be a better word instead of pioneered, because pioneered, that doesn't actually fit what I was saying.
They brought it back. They brought it back into the conversation, basically.
Yeah, I mean, because everybody was basically like, well, they understood why the PlayStation 4 didn't have it, because the PS3 had the cell architecture, and the Xbox One was x86, and the Xbox 360 was PowerPC or whatever the hell it was. So
yeah, I mean, it's not like the Xbox 360's architecture matched up with the Xbox One either, but Microsoft made the investment to convert those games, and they did it in really well. I'm sure, like,
there you go, better word, champion. Thank you, Indie Gamer. Champion. They became the champions of backwards compatibility. This
certainly the PS4 Pro could emulate PS3. Surely, I don't know. I mean, I don't know the technical hurdles, but it's like, even still, it's not so much about what Sony are doing, because Sony have brought a lot of old school games to the PlayStation 4, whether it's remasters or some of there are, like, I think there's about 60 PS3 and PS2 games on PlayStation 2, which is a damn lot more than Nintendo have done with the Switch. Despite the fact that the Switch could easily handle those classic games, they just don't want to do it because they want to be greedy about it, which sucks. So it's the focus of my article wasn't really PlayStation, because I also get that, like, the PS1 and PS2 content is going to have the same issues as the original Xbox backwards compatibility, because with the licensing stuff, So it's not really about PlayStation, really. But I'd like to see Sony make the commitment that PS4 games would run on PS5. That's one commitment I'd like to see them make, because we don't know. And I'd also like, but the thing is, you've got that commitment. You know that with Microsoft that's going to be the case. So that's mainly what my article was about.
And that kind of took up the whole answer your question segment. So there you go, because it's kind of getting a little bit late here.
We can do maybe we can do two, maybe.
No, I mean, no, I have to actually get going too. So
I have to go. All right.
Thanks for watching the podcast, guys. Me and Jez really appreciate it. Jez, I know you're always writing stuff. What do you got going on for the rest of the week?
Nothing too interesting. I'm reviewing a bunch of accessories for PC. I might be right. I've pre-ordered the Surface Go, the new 10-inch tablet from Microsoft. I'm going to put that through its paces as a gaming machine. Like, if the 10-inch Surface Go can run like some decent games, that's going to be a really sweet portable PC for gaming, because it's like really small and compact and stuff like that. Fanless design. It's really nice. So I'm probably going to be doing some content about that. I'm gonna try and write about the Division's endgame for those who are interested in maybe getting back into it or trying it for the first time. I'm also might write something about Moonlighter as well because I'm bloody loving it, man. Other than that, nothing too interesting. There's like things are quiet at the minute. You know, it's summer. I think like there are a lot of Microsoft accessories people hanging around China at the minute. I noticed.
Hmm.
You think there could be some Elite controller announcements on the horizon, maybe?
I'm kind of surprised they didn't announce that at E3. You would think. Well, then again, I guess they just devoted that to the Xbox adaptive controller, right?
True.
Maybe they didn't want the Elite controller to overshadow that, or vice versa. So maybe they saved the Elite for next year. Who knows? Maybe they save it for the launch of the next system. Who really knows?
Well, Scarlet is supposed to be a family of devices.
Yeah. So who really knows? Stick Figure says, "Hey Rand, you see Ghost Recon Advanced Warfare went back compat?" I did, but I believe the servers are off for that game, are they not? So it's kind of like multiplayer is can't play multiplayer in it. Although the campaign, I did like Grau's campaigns. I am a fan of the series.
Never played that.
So yeah, thanks for watching the show, guys. If you enjoyed it, on your way out, make sure you leave a like. If it's your first time here, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you always get notified, because YouTube is so weird lately, dude. I've gotten so many people telling me they're not getting notifications about videos being dropped.
The notifications are on an algorithm, man. There's no guarantee.
The notifications are supposed to be a guarantee. That's the whole thing. That's why
they're not. They're an algorithm, they said.
I know, but it's weird. It's not supposed to be. Like, I don't know. You're supposed. You're supposed to.
That's one. That's
yeah. Well, YouTube always screws stuff up. I don't know, but yeah. So we appreciate everybody watching here live on YouTube. If you're listening this later on iTunes or Google Play or SoundCloud, we appreciate you. Hope you enjoyed the show. And with this, we will see you next Thursday, hopefully, unless Jazz has something going on. But otherwise, we'll be back for another episode. See you later, guys.
Take care, everybody.